That's why I say 10:45. Okay, the display. Then, yeah, my video. But no, we're like, so just maybe you have like 10 minutes to fill out it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Danny, can you hear me well? Everyone can hear me well? Good morning. Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Good morning. Yeah, just want to make sure that all our panelists and speakers are already in because we have so overwhelming response. Our two speakers and panelists, Mr. Suresh as well as Mr. Ling Boon, wasn't able to get into the room, WebEx room just now. So I just want to confirm, Boon and Suresh, are you already in the room?
Yes, I'm in the room. Boon here.
Boon here, wonderful. What about Suresh?
Boon,
Is Suresh in the room?
Hi, Kenny.
So Suresh is in the room already, right? Fantastic. Thank you, Raj and Vignesh, for volunteering. We really appreciate their kindness in terms of dropping out from WebEx and get into Facebook Live. As I was saying just now, as I was sharing with everyone, we got overwhelming response of more than 450 registration for this particular webinar. We thank you, everyone, for your interest in this particular topic. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to start right now since all our panelists and speakers are here. Welcome to the Power Pack Marketing for the New Normal webinar this morning. My name is Michael. I guess some old friends here in WebEx, and I'm your moderator today for a panel of distinguished industry leaders, chief marketing officers, and friends. I'd also like to congratulate every one of you here, whether you're on WebEx or on Facebook Live, who have taken the time and wonderful initiative to join our distinguished panel this morning. One idea that you pick up from today's session could potentially make a difference between just surviving or thriving in a new normal. So I'm very honored indeed to moderate today's sharing session due to its relevancy, timeliness, and the potential impact it could have on your business and organization moving forward. So before we kick off with our first panelist and speaker today, a few reminders so that we all could enjoy today's webinar without much interruptions. Together with your support, we could make our today's session fun, interactive, engaging, and productive for all. Yeah, that's the whole purpose and intent. The way we're doing this particular webinar, there's no presentation, no PowerPoint slides. It's all straight from the heart, straight from the mind. Yeah, from our panelists and also from our speakers. So number one, please remember to mute your mic so that your secrets are not being heard by all of us. Right? Please mute your mic so that we all can hear clearly what our panelists will be sharing with us. Number two, please do keep calm and stay connected in the event of any technical interruption. Just like just now, we got a full room that we need to ask the kindness of two of our guests to actually log out to Facebook so that our two speakers can actually come in. And number three, please always show your love and encouragement to our distinguished panelists who have voluntarily and selflessly come forward to share their thoughts and insight with us today. In fact, many of them, I just basically sent them a WhatsApp message about a week plus ago and asked them, hey, could you help to share some thoughts on marketing for a new normal? Many of them just say yes, yes, yes. So I'm really, really, truly appreciative of that because this is the time where we need panelists, we need industry leaders who are willing to step forward to share and also the experience as well as their thoughts to everyone, yeah, in this trying time. And number four, please kindly check on your microphones and speaker setting if you cannot hear me. I guess if you cannot hear me, you probably don't hear me, but I guess so far, okay. If any issue, please put a note on the chat box and our technical team will help to resolve the problem for you. And number five, I will not go through our speakers' bio data in detail since it has been shown a few times before we start. Yeah, and most importantly, I would like to reserve this precious time for our panelists and you to engage, ask questions, and interact. Yeah, because we only have for 1.5 hours, so it's very precious time. So I'm going to go straight to their thoughts. Yeah, and six, each of our panelists will be given 5 minutes to share their opening thoughts on today's topic. And last but not least, please send in your questions for the panelists via either the chat box in the WebEx or comment on the FB Live as they speak, because while you're listening to their thoughts, you probably have some questions that you would like to ask. You can just type it in as they speak. So once all the panelists have shared their opening thoughts, we'll do our best to get your questions answered by our speakers and panelists, right? So with that, let me introduce our first panelist, a well-known personality, a veteran in the media industry, and a friend who is always ready to share. Dato Wong Sai Wan. Over to you, Dato.
Thank you. Hello,
All right, over to you, Dato.
guys. All right. For those who don't know me, I've been a journalist for the past 35 years. And I can honestly say I have never seen anything like this. That's what's happening now. I've been trying to think of how to start this, but as a marketer, I'm a newbie here. I'm probably the oldest guy among the panel, but as a marketer, I'm a newbie. I've only been doing this for the past 5 years. I think marketing in this new norm is going to be absolutely try and error. There is absolutely no expert out there who's ever gone through this. Anyone tell me that is really not telling the truth. There is absolutely no playbook out there. I've been thinking about it, and I realized that the first thing that we all have to admit is our clients, consumers, whether they are MNCs or SME business partners, they are. I think we're having problems. Are we? Are we having a technical problem?
Okay, probably some of us will have their Facebook on, so there's
feedback.
Yeah, so echo. Yeah.
Okay.
So I think so far okay. Yes.
So
please continue.
What I say is that whatever our clients and consumers and customers are, one thing stands out. Every one of us are afraid. We are very, very afraid. We are afraid for our own health. We are afraid for our business. We are afraid for our family. We are afraid for the cash flow. We are afraid for our colleagues. We are afraid for our customers. So we are going to, for the next 18 to 20 months, we are going to be working in an environment of fear. Okay? So it is in this environment of fear that we need to do our proper planning. And it's an oxymoron because I'm telling you there's no playbook, but yet at the same time we must plan. It is made worse by we don't know when the MCO will be lifted in Malaysia. Or even if it's lifted in Malaysia, will it mean anything, especially if you have customers who are overseas? All the dates are apart. No one is going to open at the same time. So if that is the case, how do you plan? So I've said that you should divide it into 3: very short term, and medium term. And for God's sake, don't plan for long term because we do not know what long term is. I don't think we should do any planning beyond 2 years. That, I think, suffice what I set up. But I can tell you this, everywhere you look at people's eyes, fear is there. It's a fear of something, but the fear is very real. Okay, Mike?
All right, Dato, thank you very much. I think Dato just basically shared with us straight from the heart in terms of what he sees right now, which is very true. Yeah, a lot of unknown, a lot of uncertainty. So with that, let me quickly go to thank you, Dato. We'll quickly go to our second panelist, right, who leads the marketing of Malaysia's largest fiber broadband company, and who has also been voted as the Malaysian Chief Marketing Officer for 2019. Mr. Lai Shui, to share his opening thoughts. Over to you, Shui.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Michael, can you hear? Just a check.
Yes, I can hear you very well.
Okay, glad to see so many people here. I, on the other hand, am very optimistic. I guess generally most marketers are, right? Like the title truly says, right? Marketing for the new normal, right? Yes, everything has been disrupted. This was never planned. No one saw this in the playbook. We are where we are. But my view is very simple. In marketing and in most business that we do, we are in the business of consumers. Consumers' needs never change. I got to eat in the morning. I got to do my lunch. I got to do my dinner. I need entertainment. I need to work. Nothing changed. The way the behavior, the only change that has happened is the behavior of where it's being consumed and how it's being consumed. As a marketer, I think this is the perfect time to go back to basics. Look at your customers. They are your true compass. They are the one they are going to tell you exactly what you need to change. All right. You look at it, everyone says, the delivery business has boomed over MCO. That is a rising business, right? But I want you guys to think a little bit about beyond just the vehicles that sense. It's not so much of the Food Panda or the Grab. Think about the consumer. He needs to eat. The delivery is just a medium to bring things closer. They're more than a way to bring things closer. There are a lot of entrepreneurs who decided to send themselves, come and pick up in my stores, and there are many ways. I saw yesterday on YouTube in Thailand, there was a fine dining being done, food being delivered into 10 households, and then live broadcast of the chef explaining how the fine dining food is done. The needs for a date or a good night out is still there. It's just not happening in the store. It's happening somewhere else. So if you are following very strictly to your consumers' behavior, you'll be able to see where the new opportunities are. My view is very simple. Go back to basics. Basics here means understanding your consumer and understanding their behavior well, right? Then look at what's around us, the enablers. We live in a very wonderful time because technology has allowed us to pretty much stitch everything together. There's no such thing as cannot be done. Everything can be done. It's up to the imagination, and the imagination needs to follow the true north of the customer's behavior, right? We live in a world, we loosely use words like internet, right? But I think of it as everything is capable. We are attending a webinar right now, 400 over people. This is a replacement for, we would have done in a hotel hall or something like that, right? And if you think about many things, right? The needs to sit down and talk to understand, it didn't really change. It's just the touch point and delivery format has. So my advice to most people is, yes, of course, our current business model are disrupted. That's why it's so important to quickly, go back to the basic, go back to, you're in a business of doing what? If you're in the business of serving the consumer, they have not changed their needs. What has changed is the method to get to them and the way they behave has. So this is the perfect time to restitch your business. And the one that can get ahead of the curve will be the one that will benefit. I see this as a tremendous opportunity. In fact, what I really see is a lot of new players coming in to disrupt at the expense of the incumbent. So the challenge to the incumbent is, are you able to stay ahead of the curve? If you are, you got a big journey ahead, right? And that's a little bit of what I see and what I expect, right? I guess my parting words is, it's not as gloomy as what it is. It will be if you do things the same, but if you start doing things very differently, you may be just way ahead of everyone else, and it could be a bigger play than what you expected. Okay, and I'll just end it with this, and I'll hand it to the next speaker, and we can do a bit of Q&A later, and I'll elaborate a little bit more. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Shu Wei. From a very different perspective in terms of how this particular time could be a disruptions. It could be even a potential opportunity for the company which goes back to the basic and start looking back into your own customer base and your consumer. Well said. All right. So with that, thank you, Shu Wei. Now let me invite our third panelist, who is currently the Chief Marketing Officer for one of Malaysia's largest property conglomerate, my former colleague and teammate with rich experience for multi industries, Mr. Kenny Wong, to share his opening thoughts. Over to you, Kenny.
Thank you. Well, one of the disadvantages of being the third speaker is that some of the things that we prepared earlier has been spoken about by your other esteemed colleagues. But in a way it's good because it helps you to think on your feet. So, to the audience, thank you and thank you for joining us. A little bit of a behind the scenes speak. We did not share all our materials. We did not even share what we're going to be talking about. So this is all impromptu in a way. So, Shu Wei has stolen some things from me. Back to basics for one. I think what I liked about the first two speakers' introductions is the fact that Dato painted a scenario of fear, whereas Shu Wei came in with the exact opposite, giving a more optimistic side to things. For me, I think the introduction slides before the session started had one keyword which is unprecedented, and I think that keyword is, like Dato put it, nobody could have planned for this. But I think human beings like us, we are very resilient creatures. But starting from which, from the bottom of my heart, I would also like to thank the frontliners who have made it safe for us actually to be having this webinar today. If there's any frontliners among the audience here, thank you so much for doing what you have done. The country, the world owes you a lot. I think also for me, the stay at home or working from home culture has actually forced us to learn some new things. The saying goes that it takes 3 weeks to cultivate a new habit, and it's more than 3 weeks now. I'm sure all of us who initially complained that you are not able to work from home well, you have already sort of got into that kind of consistency as well. Well, it takes 3 months to build to make it a lifestyle. So, in the blink of an eye, by the time the CMCO is supposedly lifted on June the 10th, we will have come close to 3 months already. So who knows what will happen? And just to echo what Shu Wei has said, I think there are plenty of opportunities out there. Consumers' needs, I think as a marketer, all my life as a marketer, more than 30 years, the one thing that has remained consistent is that a marketer must learn to understand what the customer needs, learn to fulfill those customers' needs. However, we are not a non-profit organization, so it has got to be at a kind of a price that the customers are willing to pay for. I think in the context of the MCO and COVID-19, customers' needs might remain similar, but I think certain patterns will have changed and evolved as well. For example, in the context of the industries I've been in, the aviation industry, for example, would have been badly hit by this issue. Planes are grounded. Never before have we seen planes being grounded for so long. There's obviously a chain effect as well that goes on down the value chain. The cinema industry, which I was very passionate about as well, is one that has been having empty halls for the last couple of weeks too. So the key issue is, I think, depending on what industry you're in, depending on what kind of product you're selling or services you're selling, the first thing to do is to survive first. How do we survive? How do we hack it out? And the second thing to do is, while you are surviving, how do you plan to at least envision the short to medium term scenario when the country goes back to some form of economic recovery, as we are seeing now in the conditional MCO. So I think in a nutshell, the way we reach out to consumers, what kind of messages or communications do we share with them? Today is a kind of time whereby you don't hard sell anymore, I guess. Maybe unless you are in e-commerce, I guess. The issue here is that even if you're hard selling, the needs of the customers might be different as well. The prices they are willing to pay for some things. If you used to dine in a luxury restaurant, for example, you can still tapao home to your place, but you will miss the kind of ambience that the restaurant have. So for that kind of a restaurant, for example, to evolve to understand customers' needs, they might actually say throw in a dessert for free, for example, or increase the portions to be a bit more sizable. So I think it's a matter of having to understand how the customer's needs change, how you tweak your product offerings, maybe pricing as well as the way you communicate your marketing messages to them. For UEM Sunrise, this is a good time for us to to continue to build on our brand relevance. In January, we launched a new rebranding campaign, which is very much in line with what we're doing now. So we are trying to show to our customers that we continue to be concerned and care for their needs, whether it's today or for the near future as well. So that's my opening statements. Back to you, Michael.
All right, Kenny, thank you so much for your practical, easy to follow thoughts as well as advice. Thank you so much, Kenny. Okay, now we are we'll be going to our fourth panelist, which actually come across the causeway with a deep multinational software technology and startup experience, my friend from Singapore, Mr. Lim Yao Boon, to share his opening thoughts on today's topic. Over to you, Boon.
Thank you. Thank you, Michael. It's an honor and privilege to be such an esteemed panelist to share my thoughts on the situation. I think, Kenny, I feel your pain. Being the fourth speaker, I think it's more pain. Yeah, a lot of things are being covered. Maybe I should take another spin to the. Maybe I'll just start my take on the macro level impact. A lot of things.
Boon, may I interrupt? I think the voice may not be as clear and loud, so we have got some feedback from the audience. Is there any way that you can? Are you using a wireless mic? Sorry to interrupt you. Okay.
Let me see. I'm breaking up. Is it?
Yeah, slightly.
Let me just sort of try to. Is it better now?
Yeah, continue. Please continue. Yes.
Better now? Yeah?
Yes, yes.
Okay, all right. So I was saying that I'll just start with my take on the macro level impact of COVID-19, because a lot of what we're saying is very micro, right? At our country level and our organization level, individual level. I think when honestly, I wrote about COVID-19. I wrote an article called Disruption from Nowhere in late January 2020, right? That was when COVID-19 was still mainly in China, right? I was like, wow, what a devastating impact. It was before WHO declared as a pandemic, and the world has not experienced the devastating power of the virus yet. The funny thing is that before I could publish it, I rewrote it a few times, to keep pace, because things are moving at such an exponential speed that it's really hard to grasp the scale of what's happening. 4 months in, about 3.5 months in, the truth is that, like what Dato said, actually we still really do not know what's going to happen, what the new world will look like. At the macro level, at global context, being across the causeway, right, bring a bit of international perspective into the conversation, is they really depend on a number of factors, a combination of factors actually. How successful the containment of the virus spread, the real social and economic impact that we experience, every country's government response to the situation, how long is the lockdown, what happens after lockdown, how many businesses can open, how businesses can close, and also the last thing is that the mass availability of the vaccine, right? Until then, we really cannot predict exactly what's going to happen. But one thing is for sure, all right, that the world economy will swing. Yep, for at least the next short months. It's not that there's no more business, just a swing. We also can be very sure that the public debt, all right, is huge. All right, it's a huge, large fiscal deficit in most countries, because we are spending money supporting businesses, we're spending money at the side. To keep the healthcare and frontliners capable of dealing with the situation. In the private sector also, there'll be a lot more debt. We can expect defaults in the months to come. Those are structural problems that we're not yet, but it's coming. And especially in the private sector, in the emerging economy, around us, Southeast Asia, there are a lot of emerging economies. when the default comes, all right, it's going to be difficult. And if the government has spent so much money on the first round, all right, just to keep everybody sustaining, keep the healthcare going, the next round, they may not be enough to stimulate the economy. Right? Maybe China can. Later part of this month, I think somewhere this week or next week, China's going to announce a stimulus package. That will have a ramification on all of us. But actually, all these things are real source of concern right now. Well, we also know that interest rate will likely remain low for a while because we want to encourage spending right now in countries. But one thing we're very sure of, all right, things are sure is that tax will be higher for sure. That's the only way to really source and finance the debt. And the other thing that we also be seeing lately, that the geopolitical tension will probably get worse, right, among the EU countries, between US and China. It's like child's play every day, right? But all this will create something that we all don't like. Okay, distinct rights and nationalism, and this trade globalization that we have been enjoying for the last 20, 30 years under WTO will be under threat. Global trade could drop, all right, and that will really be bad for the economy. So for all of us, Southeast Asia, that we produce things for the world to consume, all right. If global trade drops, then those that are in the supply chain, those that are in the business of supplying outside the country will be affected. It can affect all of us. So we all need to get ready for the new world. As much as I agree with Shuan that we need to find opportunity, we also must be ready to know that there's going to be different. All right, not only from the customer and the business perspective, but also we need to see things from the overall economic perspective. So right now, what we can do is really at our macro level do what we can. Be ready to brace ourselves for the tsunamis will come. Because as myself as a disruption management consultant, I really hope to help as many organizations as possible to get through this very difficult period and the word of new normal pivot. All right, where do we now move to tackle the new norm? Hopefully, I can share a bit more later. So with that, I hand over the time back to Mike.
All right, Boon, thank you so much. But maybe just a quick feedback later while I guess and other panelists are doing. We've gotten some feedback on your voice. It's a little bit patchy for some of our audience. So maybe when you have time, just see whether you check on it. And second feedback, thanks, Boon. Yeah, very, very well echo in terms of the sentiments, especially in the macro view that Boon has shared with all of us. Yeah, while we maintain optimistic as a human spirit, but there's some macro cloud which is overhanging that we do need to look into it, and we'll hope to discuss it further later with our panelists. Thank you so much, Boon. Yeah, thank you. All right, with that, let me go ahead to introduce our fifth panelist, and is none other than Mr. Suresh Unnikrishnan. He is the Global Partnership Officer for an exciting mobile learning company, and also a person who has also had vast experience in various industry. And he has also been voted as the 2015 most influential Chief Marketing Officer in 2015. So with that, let me welcome Suresh. Please to help to share your opening thoughts. Over to you, Suresh.
Hi. Can you all hear me? Can you all hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Suresh.
Clear. All right. Thank you, Michael. Thank you. I think when you send that invitation, as I said, we couldn't say no to you.
Thank you.
Known you for the days, days when you were in, in MNCs, right? Couldn't say no. So, and also, it's all about coming here and being able to share all of our expertise as much as possible, being fellow Malaysians and trying to share all of our expertise to help people to uplift them and go forward. I think that's what we're all looking to achieve among everyone, even Yao Boon, of course, although he's across the causeway. So my perspective is very different. If the audience has managed to read my profile, my first 15 years, I was in human resource entirely, in multiple sectors, crazy sectors like plantations and engineering, IT, crazy sectors. Yeah, for 15 years, being in port and transportation. So that gave me one perspective. Then the next 15 years, I became an entrepreneur. I had enough. I was working in MNC at the Asia Pacific level, in charge of human resource. I had, hey, that's the glass ceiling. I enough wanted to become an entrepreneur. And the next 15 years, in fact, this year is my 15th anniversary of being an entrepreneur. And sadly, it's got COVID and recession. It's not a good thing, but let's take it. Yeah. So, and this 15 years being an entrepreneur, another set of different sectors. And right now, I'm in digital learning. It's crazy times about learning and especially being on digital learning. So I would like to put the perspective a bit different. Before the MCO, we already knew that we had critical problems with IR 4.0. Every country globally is talking about IR 4.0. Malaysia has been a bit slow in IR 4.0. People are slowly beginning to understand what's so critical about IR 4.0. Although the government and various institutions were trying to stress on the importance. Then digitalization, that was also being spoken about. There were a lot of conferences, conventions, so on, talking about digitalization. Get onto it, it's critical. Then all of a sudden from 18th March onwards, all of a sudden, as once in a first time ever, COVID-19 comes in. Shortly after 18 March, IMF announces that, it is a global recession. And of course, internally in Malaysia, we had other issues. So before pre-MCO, we had IR 4.0 and digitalization. That was already bogging us down as a business. Now we have COVID-19 and recession. My perception would be like this: whether it's pre-MCO or right now MCO, and if this goes away by June or by a couple of months, we cannot deny that we need to prepare ourselves. With IR 4.0 and digitalization, all businesses had to prepare themselves. Now it's just an add-on that you have COVID and recession. So we have to, all of us have to be strengthening ourselves in our skills. We are expected to have problem solving, critical thinking, creativity, judgment and decision making skills, negotiation, all of the skills, what we call human skills. It's very, very critical today. So when all of this comes about, the only way forward is going forward. Yeah, we have, all of us, we have worked for 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, whether it's an employee or as a business owner for 1 year or 20 years. The only way forward is forward. Whether with your team, what all employees coming together, and working together to identify your strengths and weaknesses and the opportunities and threats, reassessing your organization, whatever you may be, whether you are in a micro business or you're in an MNC business, it's all about assessment. And my perspective, as I was saying, is different all throughout my career, whether it's in human resource and right now when it comes to digital learning right now, we make decisions based on data. We always do assessments to find out where we are in terms of strength, weakness, opportunity, threats, and any other data we can get onto. And with all of that, make an informed decision. Even though the current times are clouded, but within the cloud, imagine you are on a ship. The company is a ship. Whether you're an employee or you are a owner or senior management of that ship, so-called company analogy. You need to base your decisions on data. You cannot put this like this and say, oh, the wind is this way, let's go this way. You cannot do that. You will fail. You have to gather your internal data points and external data points, and together make an informed decision of continuing to go in the current direction to the sectors that you were looking into pre-MCO, or now knowing, the total strength, financial, non-financial, your employee base strength, and saying, okay, now as a ship, we have to make a shift. How do we do it? So it's all about that. I think we will cover lots more when my turn comes or by the other panel members. I will leave you with all of these thoughts that I've just mentioned, and back to you, Michael.
All right, thank you very much, Suresh. Yeah, especially for your insightful thoughts about everything is about data moving forward. Yeah, so that I think that will be a guideline and starting point for most organizations to reassess where they are right now. Thank you so much. And last but not least, I'd like to invite our final panelist who has been patiently waiting for his turn to share, a serial entrepreneur for the last 20 years and currently in the thick of the pandemic crisis, Mr. E.L. Lau, to share his opening thoughts. Over to you, Lau.
Hi, everyone. Very good morning. I'm glad that I have a chance to talk to you in this manner. I never thought that the seminar would be this way, speaking to 400 over people, via webinar. Frankly speaking, I'm actually doubtful whether I need so many meeting rooms in my new building, because we probably don't need that, So that's a change. There's a change. Today, I'm going to talk about my experiences, what I've gone through during this MCO and also CMCO. And also, I will touch on several points, which I think is very important. Most people may think that during MCO, things are slowing down, things are more restricted. But I think the points that I want to bring out today is about the speed. I think the speed also involved in decision making, in what we're going to do, and also during this MCO, I think the change in mentality change is very important in your business. As a business owner, I'm probably will cover more into a general perspective of it, like how we're going to make a decision. And I just want to share some of the experiences that I have. For instance, during these 2 months, it never crossed in my mind, for the last 25 years, I made a decision so quickly. I built up a lab to increase my productions of the COVID-19 test kit within a week, which never happened before. So with this drive that we have, even I saw my contractors, what they told me, they say, that's enough, 2 months rest. We're going to go all the way through. Even during Raya, we're going to work. See, the change of mentality puts everyone together where people are more serious. People think that the opportunity, they have to grab it, and speed is so matters here, and the situation is so fluid that today we can't actually have A plus B equal to C. So the formula, the book that we used to use, probably not relevant anymore. So today is about what we're going to see the next day. So it's so fluid that tomorrow is too late. So the bosses has to go back to the test. They have to really hands-on to make a decision with your team. You need to assess, like Suresh mentioned, the assess of your capability, your team, your core team, your technology. This is the time where technology counts. Whether you can switch your business, whether you can divert your business, whether you can actually ramp up, that all depends on your readiness, your R&D team. So this is where I think previously you may not, put resources so much on the R&D, on the technology, but this is where I think this will make you different than others. So there you also encounter people that is not in your field coming into your business, if your business is the one that so-called essential business right now. For example, I'm involved in the medical devices. So you can see people that never actually come into the medical business actually enter the business here. So there are more people making masks, more people making sanitizer and PPE and so forth. So when it comes to this, technology is involved, and also the issues on regulatories. So people are more careful, as Dato mentioned, people are more fear. So this is where all the quality assurance come into place. So these factors, this value may not be so been so highlighted before, which we have to put this into our business and today. So in short, we can see that during this moment in time, speed counts. Seriousness in doing business are different. People are more sensible. People want to grab the opportunity, and I think the strong one, the one that the readiness with the technology and with the readiness of their R&D team, with the readiness of their people, the good team that they have, the core team that help, we drive through. So it's very taxing right now. And it never came across in my mind that I actually need to make a decision so quickly. In fact, I would like to share with you that in a week time, next week, I'm going to, launch another new business, which is related to COVID. And you know what? I just call my friend. I says, I'm going to go to this meal. Are you joining me? They said, yes, Lau, just go ahead. You see, the decision making is so quick today that people not even have a time to do due diligence. For example, open up the books and look into everything. The decision has to be done. Is so fast, and that's the opportunity that you have during this moment in time. So I can't tell you what is the best formula during the new normal. I don't think things are settled down yet. So just keep going and keep forward and just be positive about it. Don't feel so bad, as Sue mentioned. The consumer is still there. In fact, with the stimulation, package the government's giving now, there's a bunch of money out there that people are going to spend it. So just be more creative, be more, advanced looking, and you will know what is the best method for your technology, for your industry to shape it. You shape it yourself to the best interest and to the best strength that you have. This is what I'm going to say. So the bosses has to go back to the desk, be fingertips to make a decision. This is the best, I would say, the model that we probably need to use for the next few months to a year. All right. So I will end here.
All right. Thank you, Lau. Thank you so much for sharing from a serial entrepreneur perspective, where things are moving so fast now. He has to make decision on the go. Yeah, a speed to decision is to make things happen is absolutely critical, especially not only to survive, to sustain, but also to thrive. Yeah, so thank you for sharing that with our audience. Yeah, thank you so much. So with that, we have actually come to basically we have opening thoughts from all our distinguished panelists today. Thank you for sharing that. I guess we are now at this session, which I believe should be the core of our webinar today, which is the Q&A. Yeah, I can see that we already have quite a few questions from the audience. While we're grouping some of those questions on a real-time basis, and you do have any questions after listening to all our 6 panelists so far, do type in your questions, whether in a WebEx chat box, or if you are following us on Facebook Live, please put your comment. We'll gather the questions together. But in the meantime, let me start off by asking our panelists some of these questions. Yeah, number one, during this unprecedented time, what marketing strategy or strategies do you have to deploy to adjust accordingly? Maybe I guess I'll invite Dato maybe to share your thoughts in terms of what do you have to adjust in terms of your strategies or marketing strategies during this period of time. Over to you, Dato. Are we still having? Do we have a technical?
Sorry, I had muted my mic.
All right, good.
It's like what Kenny said. One of the things that will have to be done is that everything is done on the fly. It's all very short term, very quick decisions, very short campaigns. But that is all temporary. I think any campaigns being done now, whether by MNCs or SMEs or even individuals, are all COVID-19 targeted, and more specifically MCO targeted. I would say that the CMOs will have to relook at their target audience. They can no longer, the formula before this was people between 18 and 35. That is our target market. We sell it to them. Our product or our services is done. I think what has happened now with the MCO and with the COVID-19, I think we need to expand that age group slightly more. People like all of us here should now be the target of all CMOs, because we are the people you all need to convince.
Right, Dato, are you still there?
Hang on. Okay. I'm seriously looking at, in terms of for us, is to expand the market back upwards, not only 1835, maybe 1860. You need to bring in the older folks into your marketing campaigns now. I think for medium term, that must be looked at.
All right, thank you, Dato. Yeah, for your sharing for your thoughts and what you have to, I guess, in terms of adjust, in terms of your marketing campaign or marketing strategies. Maybe since Shu Wei probably have to, he has another regional meeting to attend at 12 o'clock. Maybe we'll go over to Shu Wei first, so that we have a chance to hear from him on what he has to in terms of marketing strategy that he has, or from a company perspective, organization perspective, that you have to adjust in order to, I guess, in the last couple of months. Yeah, over to you, Shu Wei.
Thanks, Micah. Can hear me, right?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah. So as I said earlier, my true north is always about consumers. So let's role play a little bit, right? So where I work, we are in a business of connecting people, right? We are in the business of internet. We're not in the business of fiber. We're not in the business of wireless. Those are just technology. We're in the business of providing people with connectivity, right? And boy, everyone's at home and there is more demand on connectivity ever, right? But the point I was trying to say earlier is, if you look deep inside, there's a lot of opportunities, right? There are more people at home consuming my products, right? And that's a good thing. Second thing is, are there opportunities? Are there pain points? Over the past 3 months, I tell you what are the pain points. The pain points are, there are a lot of people connecting to internet and they're placing their routers very, very far away. Like some of you have double-story, 3-story houses. You put your router on the ground floor. You're very far away when you're in your master bedroom. So here's an opportunity for me to do something. So we created new packages and services where we extended our Wi-Fi. The product is called Mesh, but we actually had Wi-Fi extender brought into it, right? So here, is a classic example of, if you follow the example and behavior of your customers, here's a chance for us to create new businesses, and your customers are happy to do that, right? And because the nature of the time we are in, there's a lot of digital information. I think one of the panelists talks about data, Suresh, right? I also know, right, how many people are connecting, how many devices are being used, what exactly are using. Netflix is being watched more, so the bandwidth requirements are higher. So today we actually offer you, you select. If you are in 100 Mbps at home, with a click of a button on your app, you can upgrade it if you feel the bandwidth is required. You really don't have to come to my store. You really don't have to, I don't have to tell you like, oh, internet high speed is good for you, But if you are able to really understand the behavior, you can create a lot of new touch points. In this example, I don't even need to work with dealers. I don't even need to work with our TM points, which are closed in the early days of the MCO, right? Customers just with a single click, they can change their plan and upgrade it. And all these things were created, right? So the point I was trying to make is, if you're very faithful to your customers and you try to look at it a little bit differently, you can create a lot of new things. The philosophy we apply is actually always in beta. I think Law spoke a little bit on it, right? You're always reinventing. And I would say in the past 3 months, and I've said it in a previous talk before, I've probably seen more changes in how we do things, in terms of being innovative, creative, being out of the box, but we're using the customer as the forefront for our decision making, right? And then you realize that even under the circumstance, we are opening new businesses and happy businesses that customers are happy to pay us for, right? So strategies are, they are big words. At the end of the day, the strategy is always encompasses of the customer's needs. And if you are able to find pain points, and if you are able to be very quick in how you innovate yourself, I still think there's a lot of opportunities out there. And that's a little bit of my thoughts.
Right. Thank you so much, Shu Wei. Thank you. Yeah, I think we have actually quite a few questions right now from the audience. Let me go to the audience questions. Yeah. Just give me 1 second to actually One of them is actually from our friends all the way from the United States, right? Basically, this is to all our panelists. The International Labour Organization estimate the equivalent of 195, I think, jobs lost globally due to COVID-19. Yeah, CMO of a major public listed company asked me today, how do you get most of these people back to work ASAP? Also, if it is all about embracing the new normal, then how do we reskill the jobless? What changes in the new normal that needs to be done? So that's questions from Raj all the way from the United States. So I guess I guess Suresh, you are in the education, more in the digital education. Maybe over to you first, Suresh. Any thoughts to share?
The only way currently, I mean, we have got we are 100% Malaysian company,
right?
Small company, been recognized by United Nations in 2017, recognized by OECD in 2018 as one of the top 15 companies in ASEAN. Right. With subscribers in 60 countries, I think I can say that answer the question. Malaysia is expected to have about 2 million, 2.4 million unemployed people based on MIER and JP Morgan and the various studies. I'm sure the numbers will be somewhere there, including mentioned by Malaysian Employees Federation. And I'm sure global organizations like Forbes and JP Morgan would have done their study for that number to come out. The only way for it's so critical current moments, whether it's a fresh graduate or you have been laid off, terminated, VSS, in whatever scenario, is to ensure you have the highest possible skills level right now. Yeah, you may have a certain level, certain skills in different areas. It's so critical for you to upskill, reskill, and multi-skill in this scenario. In fact, it was critical pre-MCO. Right now, it becomes more critical, yeah, for you to be able to upskill, reskill, and multi-skill. So the only way you can do that is not to go into face-to-face trainings. That is not going to happen. That's down to zero. So the only way to do that is via digital learning or mobile learning. That's the only option, right? So number one, what everyone need to do, whether they're fresh graduate or been laid off, quickly get onto the learning platforms. I would encourage you to come to my platform, but go on, there's so many in the world. But quickly upskill yourself, multi-skill yourself. That's number one. Number two, have the right attitude. You may need to take on jobs not exactly perfect for you, just a bit down. Grab those jobs at whatever that comes through, that not all the way down that you were a manager and going all the way down to a laborer, but a bit 1-2 steps down. Grab it first, and while you upskill yourself, yeah, via the digital learning platforms, and then when the time is right, when things are picking up, with all the skills you have built up, added on to your existing skills, you will be the first few people to be able to grab on new opportunities. That's what I got to say.
All right, thank you, Suresh. In terms of again sharing your thoughts into the importance of in terms of reskilling, oneself to actually continues to adapt to the new environment. Thank you so much. In fact, we have quite a few questions. In fact, this is from Professor M. Krishnamurthy to all the panel members. Can you give us some innovative, practical business example new startups and entrepreneurs can get into a post-MCO period? I guess this probably Lau and will probably be one of the best panelists to help to share some thoughts. Over to you, Lau. What are the new business that entrepreneurs, I guess, new startup or entrepreneurs can get into post-MCO? Over to you, Lau. Yeah. Lau, I think I could not hear you. I'm not sure whether the rest of the audience.
Can you hear?
Yes,
Right now?
now we can. Now we can. Yes, please proceed. Yes.
This question has been posed to me by my friends as well, who actually, looking into the new industries to go in. For me, the closest related business will be pretty much on the business that related to COVID. All right, for the time being. If you really can actually go into this area, which is even more, it's a little bit stringent, I would say, where the compliances regulatory is about, you probably have a chance to thrive in the medical device area if you have a chance to go into these technology-based businesses. Whereas in other business, in the consumer-based business, you probably will have to look into the business that probably is still growing during this time. It's not easy to find a business that's still growing in this time without any disturbance in terms of the business approaches. For instance, I'm involved in the tree planting projects. Tree planting means the business, the tree is still growing while the agriculture, the food industry is still needed. People still need to eat. Like Suresh said, the consumers still need is still there. So go into the area where you will have a better chance to strike. Less problematic in terms of restriction control that actually disturb your business. So you still can do some activities in agriculture, in aquaculture, in areas where people still need these essential services. People still need food to eat. In fact, the next crisis could be food after MCO, because everything slowed down, everything kind of stopped. So people can't go into the farm before that. So now people are looking into this area to go to invest. Maybe you should go into this area. Yeah, that's a good thought.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Lau, for your thoughts in terms of the many areas that actually entrepreneur can look into, or even startup can look into in this. Even though it's a challenging environment, trying times, but there's always some fundamental, as Shui mentioned, there's basic needs that all people, all mankind needs to have, right? So you just keep to your true north, as Shui always say. All right, good. There's thank you. There's one more, few more questions actually. How do we? It's actually from Emil Kamaruzaman. Yeah. How do we balance? I think some of our panelists spoke about speed of execution. So the question I think is very good. It's a good question. How do we balance speed of execution versus requirement of data for decision making? So maybe Boon, I guess. So would you like to take this on? And then maybe other panelists, you have any thoughts? So please, most welcome to add on later. I think Lau talks about the speed of decision making, right? So Boon, maybe over to you. Any thoughts from your side? Maybe back to any other.
Sure. Can you hear me better now?
Absolutely.
Very good. Okay, just for the record, I'm using Singtel, not Telekom. So I think Telekom is better than Singtel.
So we're very happy to hear that.
Yeah, I'm a Singtel shareholder, so I'm going to talk to them soon.
All right, good.
Speed of execution. There's one thing that I advocate a lot is that 2 years back, I read an article saying that design thinking will be the new normal. All right, that's before all this COVID-19 all came about. I think a lot of thinking processes, a lot of thinking methodology, all right, there used to be a novelty, the way we try to get people to do things faster, do a lot of testing, prototyping, recycle the process, and then basically design with your, productize with your end user in mind, the stakeholders in mind. Those kind of processes will come in very, very handy going forward. Like what is being said earlier by Datuk, right? We can't really, two things very clearly by Datuk and Shui. Number one, Datuk said that, we really don't know what's going to happen, but the basic need is going to stay the same. So when you are developing something right now, speed execution is that you can't plan too far ahead, okay? Directionally, you need to know where you're going. It's important, okay? I want to be in the transportation sector. I want to serve the last mile. It's very clear. How to serve the last mile? I got to keep trying because everybody is trying, because the game is such whereby, to an earlier point where Suresh mentioned, actually, if the global economy shrink, for example, right now, all right, it's a zero-sum game, because if I get a job, somebody won't get a job, right? The key is how do we collectively innovate to create more value and therefore more consumption, bigger economy, and together we can do it. We flush the money into the economy, together we can move the economy back to where we were again. So therefore, all of us, if you're an entrepreneur or even your companies are trying to innovate, really using methodology that allow you to have speed to market and prototype quickly and reiterate as you go along to make sure that it will serve the need, the changing need that's happening in the market is very important. So one thing that I always cite an example, right? Long time ago, Microsoft, they launched a product that's not even ready yet, right? And then they go and fix all the bugs. Okay, if Microsoft would have waited for all the bugs to be fixed before they launch their OS, for example, okay, they would have not grown as much as they have been today, because they just about there, they just go out, right? And then they fix the problem as they go along. Make sure your customer experience is good. So I'm not sure if I answered the question, but clearly it is important for us to understand that we cannot plan and try to develop and innovate for 6 to 12 months anymore. All right, use 1 week cycle. All right, to move things very quickly out.
Okay, Boon, thanks. Maybe Lau, would you like to chip in on the speed of execution, balance speed of execution versus data accuracy, right?
I think the speed, you can hear right now. Yeah, I think the speed of making business decision also involve not only from your one individual per se. So you probably need to look into perspective where you need to combine strength with other people. People who has the ready technology platform or resources. I mean, the sharing at this moment is very important. The moment where you actually really relate your strength. Really combine your resources and move forward. I think this is the time where you have to do it together, not only by yourself. Because if by yourself, you could be too late and too heavy for you to make. So that's my thought.
Very good, Lau. I think as you talk about a key word, especially right now, it's about leverage, right? And collaborations, right? Leverage and collaborations to make things happen in a speedy manner, in a timely manner. Thank you so much. We actually got one very interesting question. I think Kenny will be a very good person to help to share this thought from Aman Malik. How do we approach businesses of high-ticket luxury items where face-to-face interaction has been the sole decision factor in the past? Example, property, vehicles, cars, luxury watches, high fashion. I think there's a very appropriate questions where a lot of businesses you need that face-to-face interaction. So what do we do now? Over to you, Kenny.
Thank you for the question. It is definitely an interesting one.
Right.
I think for not just for luxury goods or things like property, but I think what's going on in people's minds right now is the fact that there's a constriction of income, whichever way you look at it, whether you're running a business or you're a salaried worker. I think most people are now looking at how to conserve funds. Cash is king. Thinking of investments and all that is probably the furthest away from their minds. So for us in UEM Sunrise, we have taken a step back, to borrow that catchphrase from Shu Wei of going back to basics. The last couple of months, we have actually been looking at, going back to the drawing board to see what are the things that we should be doing right now. I know there was also questions as to whether we should continue with our marketing and advertising plans, or should we just, throw it all away. I think it's a matter of adjusting it, tweaking it a little bit as well. Now, for us, the most important thing is, what does a brand mean to people? So I think this is now a good time as any for you to reposition your brand in the minds of customers and keeping yourself top of mind so that they can recall your brand better, so that you're more relevant to them as well. What we did was we started looking at things and say, hey, this is probably not a good time for us to go really, in your face with our marketing activities. So what we did was we began to look at what would people be looking at in terms of their needs, their changes in lifestyles and whatnot. And we felt that certain messages of, being at home, being happy and comfortable at home, sharing your home with your family for the longest time ever now compared to previously. How do we manage to maintain harmony, for example? One of our brand values is caring, to be caring, yeah? And we started off by doing a series of campaigns to show people that they can actually make use of this time at home to be with the families, to upskill or to reskill, as some people have said, or just to basically enjoy some me time alone, being away from the traffic and pollution. So we chose to focus that time on rebuilding our brand. Another thing that we did as well was to sort of like identify some of our key loyal customers, and we send them a gift, actually some chocolates, if you like, just out of the blue, surprising them with no strings attached, just to say, hey, we hope you are doing fine at home. We just want to tell you that we're thinking of you, and this is a little something to sweeten your day. That goes hand in hand with another one of our brand values, which is to be involved with our customers as well. I think the trickiest part here in property is, like you all said, it requires a lot of face-to-face interaction. Well, fortunately for us, we dived a little bit into that area of producing virtual 360-degree tours, if you like, of our show units. So in the past, we use that primarily for our more premium products when we sell overseas, like in Hong Kong and China. So we have now quickly incorporated that into one of our apps as well. We have an app called Hub, HUB Hub, and we've now incorporated some of these virtual videos into the app. So a customer who is willing to talk to us about the possibility of buying property, I say that very carefully because we do not want to push it into their face. So, but in the process of engaging them, they say, hey, by the way, I'm still looking around. Is there a good deal? Then we will take the opportunity to engage them. So what we do is our salespeople are beginning to be much better now at using devices like Zoom and whatnot. So we use those kind of tools as well as our some technology, if you like, by way of those virtual tools, and we walk them through the show unit as if they are literally there, if you like. Many other things are still being considered. I think what we're talking about is the way to reach the customers. But I think what's important as well is to look at some of the differences or changes that has been happening right now. For example, some people might now choose to stay further away from their offices or further away from the urban cities because they don't need to work in the office all the time. So with that, perhaps people are looking to compromise distance. They stay a bit further away. Prices might tend to be a bit cheaper, and they get landed property instead of a high rise. For those people who still want to remain in high rise, we then have to start thinking about how do we make spaces more interchangeable, multiple use of space. Like you can have that area to be a study, or in the evenings, the older folks can use it for their recreational activities. In early in the morning, maybe you can use that space for exercise. So developers like us will have to also change our product offerings. We have been talking a lot about contactless as well, or zero integration, if you like. Interface, if you like. How do you go from your house out all the way to the parking lot without having to touch anything, for example? So I think the use of technology, AI, for example, will have come in handy. The use of facial recognition, for example, number plate scanning, for example. All these things will have to take on board to produce the kind of products which customers in the future will want and will want to pay for, most importantly.
Can I jump in here? I just want to ask, you will now get more honest customers, isn't it? If someone inquire that I'm looking at a property during this time, it will be a more serious customer than just say than anyone else.
Well, Dato', I do hope all our customers are honest. Yes, in many ways, in many ways, the inquiries that we are getting are more from genuine customers. I think the issue here is that whilst they might be very genuine in wanting to buy a property, they are not in an urgency mode. So most of them are still weighing the comparisons between one and the other. Some people are telling us, hey, the government has not quite, put in a stimuli package for property yet. So some people are probably waiting for that to happen. So, if there's anybody in the housing ministry who's listening in, the house ownership campaign that was launched last year was actually very successful. We hope the government will consider relaunching it in some way or another, taking into consideration some of the learnings that we have had from COVID and MCO, and therefore help us developers to also be able to package our products in a more relevant way too. But you're spot on, Dato'. I think buyers are much more genuine. The fact of the matter is that we need to just make sure that we are able to close the deal relatively quickly by being able to offer them an offer that they can't refuse. And I think whilst we can do that by looking at compromising on our margins a little bit, I think the government can also play a large part in helping us by way of injecting in some stimulus packages as well.
Michael, Shui
Yes.
here.
Hi, Shui. Yes, yeah. Anything to jump in? Yeah, before you have to go.
Yeah, I have to go shortly, but let me just add some thoughts also, right? So the question was high value. Again, I go back to the start of my story, right? I always believe that the needs are there. So you need to understand who are still your customers, right? And you need to understand, right, why are they not coming, right? Or the obvious thing is because there is this COVID out there, right? So we have to figure out a way to then do it in such a way that they feel safe when they come, right? Instead of thinking of coming to my store, why not come to my store that is fully sanitized? Today, if you think about it, everyone has this contact tracing and hand sanitizer and mask. But is that really enough? Right? So ask questions like this. Right? If I'm the only shopper in Gucci, I'm actually very fine. I feel that it's safe. So perhaps they have to look at the way they do their scheduling a bit differently, right? And why is it that I'm walking into Gucci and looking at 5 people working there when all I really need, and I don't know what is their status, and maybe something as simple as a signage up front to say that, so these guys have been declared safe to serve you this, today. That would work for me, right? So the point I'm trying to make is go back to the behavior and understand it very much. I give you 2 more examples. So I spoke to a group of people and they were telling me that they are in the F&B business. And they were telling me that they have a very big restaurant and it's going to impact them. And the first thing I said was, the expected behavior when people go and dine, and I still think there are people going out to dine, maybe not as many, but there are. Okay, the expected behavior is social distancing. If you have such a big restaurant, you probably can implement social distancing better than the average restaurant. So why are you not using that to your advantage? Because the other, on a hindsight of that, they walk around and look at their neighbors and they are saying that some restaurants are cheating a little bit and not adhering to the 2 meters rule because they just don't have the space. So I'm like, so why don't you do it the other way? But that's exactly what your customers want. In fact, you should do, I'm 3 meters, right? So the point I'm trying to say here is it all goes back to the fundamentals again. And my parting example, and this is a true friend, a good friend of mine. So he opened a bak kut teh shop recently in PJ. And he has this secret recipe that is originally from Klang. So they got that recipe. So I told him that, for whatever right or wrong reason that you came in just a month before COVID, you can almost be rest assured for the next 2 years that no one else will come in and everyone within the next 20 km parameter would probably not go to Klang to eat bak kut teh. So you have like a segment that is just yours to own. Surely that is a very good start, but if you're going to do things the same way, then it won't work, right? So my parting words is look at your customers, right? I always say, right, it's the behavior that has changed, right? But the needs don't really change. Surely, I mean, of course, economic will bring everything lower. So you need to be very careful who are your customers that are still relevant. Go after them, right? There's going to be a lot of winning of market shares among players. The one that is able to innovate the quickest will survive and create new businesses. The one that stays static, I'm sorry, it's going to be very tough, right? So you need to get into that field. But as far as people out there, there's still a lot of people to go grab. Okay, so that's my parting thoughts. And of course, and your function of your people, don't get too, caught up with this thing called org chart. I always believe that, functions are generally marketing functions, sales function, IT, finance, it's really like that. So people need to be very agile. Don't get too caught up with the org chart because I am a marketing manager for media and that's the only thing I can do. If you're marketing, if you're a bit agile, you will have a lot of opportunity in display. Okay, so that's my parting words. I really have to excuse myself. It's been a fun past 1 hour plus with all of you. I'll catch up with you all again.
Thank you so much, Shui. Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah.
Take care, everyone.
We'll have you again next time. Thank you. All right. Yeah. So anyone else, any of the panelists would like to, anything further? Because I thought that was a very relevant questions in terms of face-to-face business. Because 90%, if you look at any data, 90% of retail consumer business in the world are still very much offline, right? So that offline means that a lot of businesses are still dependent on face-to-face. So Kenny has shared some very interesting examples. How do you continue to actually keep that relationship going while you may not be able to do face-to-face at this point in time, right? So wonderful. And then he also talked about technology, the use of technology, plus even the chocolate. That's Kenny. I always know him as a person's people, as a people person, right? With that, with touches. Excellent. Okay, we got a few more questions. One of them is actually, what should be the new future, I guess, working culture, working from office, working from home? How is it going to impact businesses and organizations from the panelists' thoughts? Because I think a lot of businesses are kind of grappling with it right now. Yeah, people are used to working from home right now. Is that going to be part of the new culture, working culture, or is that going to be changed once, quote unquote, we go back to normal? Me over to Dato. Anything you want to share on this point? And the rest of panelists, please feel free to jump in. Yeah.
Okay, Michael, what we have
Lost you, Dato.
Dato, yeah, are you still there?
Hello. Can you guys hear me?
Right.
Okay. What we have done here at NCOM is that we have pulled back everybody whose offices were all over the place. We are squeezing people into what was last time unacceptable 500 square feet is now luxurious. We have an 80% work at home policy. Work at home. The only reason why I'm in is because my room in this office is bigger than the room space I got at home. It's more comfortable.
Okay.
Very soon, that will be a luxury that most companies will then look for. Do I still need to rent such a big space? I think Kenny said it just now, that he's re-looking at whether do you need a 3-story office.
Right.
I, for one, have been practicing work from home for Malay Mail. What we've done is that when we started going digital on December 1st, 2 years ago, I actually told the reporters, I do not want to see your face in the office unless it is. All I want from you is X number of articles a day. That's it. I think it should be this. It works tremendously. Our production rate is very high. For me to call for a face-to-face meeting, town hall meetings, is practically impossible. Maybe that's something that management will have to relook. Do you still want to have town halls? I think today's seminar showed we can have 500 people here.
Right.
So I think the working culture will change. I'm sorry, Kenny. I think the property market will, the commercial property market will have to relook. What you used to sell for 1,500 square feet offices may now be sold as 800 square feet offices. I mean, you only need the accounts department in there, really. Other than that, you don't need anyone else. That is the way, after 3 months, that was our conclusion. Only the accounts department need to be around.
I can jump in here.
Yeah, please.
I was actually paid to work from home 20 years ago when I joined IBM. Right? IBM gave me a mobility allowance, work from home. They're very progressive. They say only 1/3 of the staff needs to be in the office. The other 2/3, your sales, your marketing, you should all there. You shouldn't be in the office. So they actually went from a perspective of cost saving 20 years ago, right? Because technology was very available to dial in. Of course, last time the dial-in speed is not what we get. But last time, files also not so big, so it's not so difficult. But the interesting thing is that after 20 years, we still see people struggling with the concept of working from home. And I have to say correctly, the reason why we work from home was because we measured by output, not the hours. Yeah. It's not input gain, it's output gain. The other thing that we were very clear about was also because of the saving time in commute, we give back to the organization, right? So, get up at 7 o'clock, by 7:30 I'm already working and at dinner time. So no lunch break, no tea break, no chit chat, coffee, pantry, very much more. But to take the point further a little bit is that the question was asked, will it be a new normal? And there are two things about a new normal that we need to take note of, and I hope that share this, all of us understand. Number one is that one of the new normal that we're experiencing now because of this whole new normal, the measures to put us social distancing, is what we call the new doables, right? The viable opportunity. Yep. It is actually possible. I don't mind now ordering in. Maybe this is millennial play in the beginning, but now maybe I never bought vegetable and meat online before. Now I'm okay. All right. Working from home, now I'm okay. Online schooling, I'm okay. Zoom, I'm very doable. So these are what I call the new doables. All right. It's viable alternative. The viable alternative is telling us that, hey, let's relook at what. Yeah. And to the point, Kenny, if I'm in the property business right now, right, I will shift a lot of these things to support the new doables. Yeah. Because in the property business, you're providing real estate to people, and you can be logistic manufacturing and all that. The other thing is that I experienced personally when we look at all this new normal. It's what I call the new good, right? Yeah, that actually working from home is fun. I can cook with the family, for more family time, for better work-life balance, exercise at home, air pressure, no business travel, I can do self-mentoring. These are new good. This is things that we want. This thing will shape the future of us. We're experiencing new things because of what I call the new abnormal, right? Which are the measures. So the doables and the good will get us into a new way of life, and that will be it. Going forward, that what Dato said, your capacity, what you need. Actually, this whole COVID-19 flush out something very important: access capacity. Access capacity has been totally flushed out. Be it your car, your air travel, your homes, and all those things, right? We have more than enough, but because we keep building the economy, right? Okay, therefore we start having offices, 3 floors, and all those things. It's actually a very interesting thing. So the access capacity will be repurposed, either flush or repurposed for better value.
It's a very good point, Boon. I think it's timely for me to jump in right now at this stage, Michael, if you don't mind.
Go ahead, please. Yeah.
Yeah, I think most of us talk in the context of the fact that we are, very adept at working from home now. I think it applies to all the panelists here and maybe a lot of the audience here as well. But in talking to some of my colleagues in the early stages of MCO, and even now, now that we are into the 10th week or so, there are instances of other people as well who want to be away from home for a little while for some form of escapism. Case in point, if you are you're a mother of young kids and you're working from home, you don't really have a very big space and you don't have a private space. Your kids will come running to you because they see you home and obviously they want to be near you. Then you have I think there's also a situation whereby some ladies primarily find that they tend to gravitate a lot more towards doing the housework. So when that happens, in the context of the typical scenario where we still went to the office, the time in the office is like a me time for them. It's the private moment where they can feel like a career person. So that little bit of separation might still apply to some people. The second thing is, I think Boon spoke about it at length as well. Spaces will still be there and spaces will still be required. It's the way how we change the purpose of it. So to be purposeful and to be able to consider certain new elements that's come on board right now. For example, if your home, for whatever reason, might not have good internet connectivity because of its location, your office has good connectivity. That might be also a way for you to be much more effective in the office. I think the element that has been proven by MCO is that we can all work from home when you choose to work from home or when you do not need to be in the office. So that amount of flexibility, more than welcome, and I'm more than happy to have that as well. The key thing is then, in terms of the need for sizes, well, it might constrict, but at the same time, there might also be a need for us to relook at some of our offices right now. Some years back, offices began going into multitasking, that kind of open office scenarios. Will the offices of tomorrow go back into more compartmentalized offices whereby they tend to be more in the private spaces? So I think all these questions will be in our heads as we go along. But as Dato rightly put just now, you can't even plan for the long term right now. So what we can do is to see what happens in the next 10 weeks, maybe 10 months before we start looking at the next 10 years. So I think for me, in a nutshell, places and spaces will still be required. It is how we change the purpose of it. It's how we look into how to make better use of the spaces to make it more efficient and effective in the long run.
All right, thank you, Kenny. I think we are left with 5 minutes, so I would like to basically, hopefully, get all of panelists who have shared so much with us. Maybe one advice or one thought, right, that you give to our audience here today in terms of marketing for the new normal. Maybe one piece of advice, one piece of thought, or one piece of I don't know, just sharing, right? No one has a playbook in a way. Right? Maybe just we go around, maybe start with Lau, yeah? And one piece of advice that we'll leave for our audience here today.
Yeah, good. I would think that regardless what position you are, you need to be hands-on. You need to be back into your desk, regardless at home or in office. The bosses has to cut down the golf, fingertips, be more hands-on, because you need to be there to make some decisions sometimes. It has to be a quick decision. So I think that's my advice. Everybody must go back and be alert, stay alert and aware of what's going on next and the coming days. That's so different. Every day is different. That's my advice. Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful. All right, Suresh, your one piece of advice to our audience, or one piece of thought?
Okay, very quickly, I just want to share something that large MNC consulting firms charge 10-20,000 US dollars to help MNC companies right now with this simple few phase advice. I think this can be applied by any company, micro company to MNC. The first thing you got to do is very quickly gather all your people, whether you have 1, 2 employees or 1,000 employees, or grab all of them into a room with social distancing, of course. Assess your strength and weakness, including your skills metrics of your employees, phase 1. Phase 2, look at externally, opportunity and threats. What are the markets, your sectors you're looking into right now? Are they still alive? Are they dead? Yeah, if they're still alive, what opportunities are there? Talk to existing customers that you have, to see whether they are alive or they can continue giving you business for your products and services. Phase 3, very quickly, this must be done all in 1 week. The whole 3 phases. Assess new markets. You may have not gone into new markets so far. This is the perfect time to look at new markets you have never gone into. Look at new markets because it'll be new opportunities. And finally, with these 3 things being done in 1 week, go forward and make a kill.
All right. Thank you, Suresh. Thank you very much. I think very good advice to whether it's from micro, SME, all the way to multinational. All right, Boon. Yeah, what is your one advice or one thought that you share with the audience before we close?
Yeah, thank you. I hope I can see me now. You can hear me now.
Right.
Yes, that works.
Yes. Okay, good. I need to save Singtel's credibility. If you're a business, right, the question you ask yourself, first of all, let me just be very clear. Marketing is not SEO, not Instagram post, program, not seminar. Marketing is actually business. Peter Drucker said, business is about innovation and marketing, right? The rest is cost. So if you're innovation and marketing, good mistake. But more importantly, that from a business perspective, you ask yourself, are you facing disruption or are you facing disruption? Because if you're facing disruption, then you got to decide how you're going to be able to pivot to this stage. Right? If you are facing disruption, then you better find a way. In order for you to pivot, then you have to ask yourself, what do I need to unlearn? Some of the rules have changed. All right. Until you unlearn, you can't learn new things. Okay, you really can't. I have a student that told me that he didn't learn anything. It's because he didn't want to unlearn. Right? So if you don't unlearn, you can't learn new things. After you unlearn, you understand how to realign and remodel. Remodel, right? Basically, it might be a totally different business model to serve the new market. may not be the same model you're familiar with. So, like what my fellow panelists say, understand the core needs people are trying to consume, which way they're going to consume, then you remodel your business. If you're a marketing professional, you're also facing a possible disruption in the structure. Yeah. How are you going to be continued viable to stay as a marketing professional? Right? At this stage, can you pivot yourself? Can you pivot to new relevance? Can you yourself get yourself understanding technologies that are going to drive the future, AI, blockchain, stuff like this. How can you get yourself more ready so you can understand the future and therefore get yourself be more professionally ready as a marketer? So that's my parting words.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Boon. Thank you. Wise word indeed. Okay, over to Kenny. Maybe your one piece of advice.
Thank you. A very wise man just said to us recently as the COVID-19 pandemic started. The person said that, don't waste a good crisis. There's opportunity in every crisis. I think, in my opinion, tough times don't last. Tough people do. It is time for us to be more agile. If you work in big companies before or GLCs, multinationals, sometimes decisions take a long time to be made. But the past few months have shown us that we can make the decisions fast. So speed and agility is one. I would also say, whilst data is inherently not so available right now because we are still learning as we go along, be fast to do things, be quick to do things, and be also quick to stop doing things if they don't work. So it's about trial and error. It's about learning when to say no, this is enough. I don't think it's going to work. But the most important thing is to be able to very quickly reboot so that you can rebuild, and then you can also re-engage with the new learnings that you have. It doesn't mean that you throw away the learnings of the past, but there are a lot of learnings from the past as well, which are still usable to us today. But taking on board what has changed since all of us started working from home, I think those learnings can be adjusted and tweaked together with what are past learnings that you have. And technology obviously is a huge enabler as well. So if there's something like a parting statement, I would say let's not miss this crisis.
Fantastic, brilliant words, Kenny. Thank you. Dato, you'll be the one who will close out with your final thoughts.
First and the last.
Right.
Okay. I guess as advice, I think the other panelists have given very solid advice.
Right.
I just have one word for employees. If you can work from home 10 kilometers away, your boss can also outsource you 1,000 miles away. Okay? If you don't need to come in, you may not be wanted. So you better make yourself relevant.
Very good advice, Dato.
Yeah, excellent advice, Dato. Any more?
No.
All right. Thank you so much, everyone. So we are at the end of the session right now. I'd like you to basically, ladies and gentlemen, please give our panelists, our speakers who have selflessly committed their time to share with us. Please give them one more round of applause, to thank them and to appreciate. Thank you.
By the way, I tap out.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, Dato. Before we end the session, we would like everyone, our audience, our guests, to actually provide your feedback on a very short survey, which will take you 1 minute, just 1 minute to complete. So the link is actually being provided right now to all of you either at the chat box if you're in the WebEx, and will be on your comment box if you are on Facebook Live. So please help us with that, because it will just take 1 minute so that it will give the organizing team as well as our panelists who have so kindly shared their times some feedback, so that we can actually hope to put more relevant webinars for everyone to navigate through this time. And I hope everyone have gotten your survey link right now in your WebEx chat box, in your Facebook Live. So please help us. It would just take 1 minute of your time to help us with that. I'm not sure whether has the questions been posted. Okay, yeah. So you can see it's a very simple questions. So please click on that link and then just go through just 6 very simple questions. It will take less than 1 minute. It's number 1, was this webinar beneficial to you? Yes or no? And number 2, overall, how would you rate the webinar from poor to excellent? Yeah, that's question number 2. Questions number 3, do you like the dialogue and sharing webinar format? Yeah, because this is, I guess, one of the first time we're trying it out, with there's no PowerPoint. It's just basically sharing the thoughts straight from the heart and straight from the mind. And number 4 is actually, what other topics would you like to hear for the future webinar, so that we can continue to get our industry leaders, industry friends to come together to share with everyone. And number 5, why did you attend the webinar? Is it to launch your new normal strategy for your own organization? Or is it to learn about the new normal strategy for your organization? Or is it to improve on your current new normal strategy or any others? Yeah, reason why you're attending the webinar. And last but not least, what could be improved further on the future webinars? So I hope everyone can just take 1 minute at a time, quickly do that for us and for our panelists who has so kindly spent their time for us and with us. So we'll give everyone 1 more minute to actually complete it. That will help us to continue source for good industry leaders who are willing to come out to share, just like our panel of leaders today and our chief marketing officers today, who are so kindly spend their precious time with us. All right, we hope you have enjoyed today's session as much as we have enjoyed having you. I'm just going to be agile, as I think Kenny mentioned that. Be agile, be bold, be creative to take on the marketing for the new normal. Yeah, try and errors, absolutely no playbook, as Dato mentioned it. Everyone is afraid, but at the same time, there's still a lot of opportunity around. So in every crisis lies great opportunity. Stay optimistic. Yeah, deliver. Keep your go to basic, as Shuei has shared. Deliver delivery basis. I guess deliver the basic to your consumer. Go back to basics. Basic, and no matter what crisis we are going through, I guess in the end, with faith and optimism, the human spirit always prevails in the end. So we look forward to seeing you again in our future webinar. Keep the spirit up, stay safe, stay awesome, keep well, no matter where you are, and we shall see you again. Thank you. Terima kasih, and nandri to everyone and to our speakers. Thank you.
Thanks, Michael, for organizing.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone.